So this is the new Tesla Model Y for 2025. It's essentially a major facelift with a brand new interior and updated exterior styling. Around the front, this new generation of the Model Y looks very, very different to what we've seen before. The last generation Model Y and Model 3 both looked very similar, with the frog eyes sort of for headlights at the front, and they sort of shared a very uniform design. But now the Model Y and the Model 3 do look very different. Also, we've got this massive LED light bar at the front, which takes inspiration from the Cybertruck. This is essentially your daytime running light system, but also the indicators do live behind these sections here. Your main headlights and high beams are down below this section here. It's a trend we see with modern cars at the moment, where the lights are essentially in two different sections. Down here we've also got the front-facing camera, a first for the Model Y, and this can actually be washed using a button on the interior screen. If you go back to when the Model S was introduced, almost 15 years ago now, the company has always offered a really good amount of underbonnet storage, and other manufacturers have caught up over the years. The main thing is that Tesla offer the same amount of storage space on whichever drivetrain you do choose, be that all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, which is actually quite impressive, and the same can't be said for other brands actually. Now, to open this bonnet, you can do it in a few different ways. So usually in cars there are some manual release hatches on the driver's side and the passenger side, but on the Tesla Model Y you do it from a touchscreen or on the app on your phone. So it's very quick to respond to open the bonnet, and that reveals a very good amount of space. It's actually 116 litres, and what's quite impressed me is the fact that it's not only deep but also really wide too, which means you can get carry-on suitcases in here, duffel bags, overnight bags, and all sorts of bits and pieces you need to carry with you. It's a very practical amount of space. There's also a load of plastic around this section here, which is actually really good quality, and it doesn't feel flimsy at all, and that just hides away a few of the components you don't really need. There's also the washer fluid top-up section down here, and then inside the boot, which is required for certain areas of the United States and different laws and different things, there is a manual release hatch, so if someone does get stuck in here or trapped in here, they can actually get out, which is a legal requirement. Really, really good amount of space, and there is a plastic sort of gasket around this section to keep it watertight. And actually the bonnet itself is really light, but also you don't need to slam it to close it. You just do that. Super easy. Before we go any further, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the Interface Cars YouTube channel. There's lots of content coming every week. Brand new car reviews just like this one, infotainment walkthroughs, and EV charging guides. Thank you. In terms of trims, there are 4 different ones you can choose from, ranging from the brand new Standard, Long Range Rear-Wheel Drive, Long Range All-Wheel Drive, or the new Performance. In terms of pricing, the Standard starts at £41,990, which has replaced the outgoing Rear-Wheel Drive, which was £44,990. It then goes all the way up to £61,990 for the Model Y Performance. This exact car on test is actually the long range rear wheel drive, and that starts at £48,990. This exact car I've got on test is a tad bit more expensive than that. It actually comes in at £58,190. That is due to the red paint, the 20-inch alloy wheels, and the enhanced autopilot, the latter of which is due to most of that price increase. For quite a while now, Tesla has not been confirming the battery size in terms of kilowatt-hour capacity of their battery packs used in their cars. So the only figure we can sort of go on is estimates online, such as the one from EV Database, which I'll be using in this video, and that makes the figures they've given kind of make sense really. So it's understood that the rear-wheel drive version of the new Model Y uses a 60 kilowatt-hour battery pack. It's understood that the long-range models, like the one I've got behind me, uses a 75 kilowatt-hour pack, and then also the Model Y Performance uses a 79 kilowatt-hour pack. The things we do know is that the battery voltage is 400 volt, and that's what the Tesla supercharger network does use, because if you try and use a 800 volt car like a Genesis GV60 for example on the Tesla supercharger network, it will then default to using the 400 volt inverter, so that would make sense. We do know the charging speed, so the larger battery packs in the long range and the Performance can charge at up to 250 kilowatts, and that will get you 165 miles added in just 15 minutes. The smaller battery can charge up to 175 kilowatts. The charging port is on the left-hand side of the vehicle, on the passenger side. This makes sense, really, when the car is a US model, because it's on the driver's side and all you do is get out the car, walk to the back, and you've opened the door. All pretty good, so Tesla haven't bothered moving it for the UK market, which makes sense. To open this flap, what you do is bring the connector of either a Tesla wall connector or the Tesla supercharger close to the port itself. You can either just tap on the port here, and that'll open up. You can see there's very little stuff around here. There's only a small LED light, the description of the port itself, like the regulatory information. There's no bungs or flaps or anything. It is very, very simple. You can also open and close the port from the app on your phone, which is very, very quick to do so. There you go. Around the side, the actual profile hasn't changed much from the previous version, but there is less chrome than before. Instead, things like the door handles and the trim around the windows are now black instead. You also get the same door handles as we've seen on Tesla vehicles since the original Model 3, which actually work quite well. For alloys, these are the optional 20-inch Helix wheels, which do cost an additional £2,200 in the UK, although the 19-inch Crossflow wheels do look good too. These also come as standard on the new standard trim in the UK. For colours, there are 6 to choose from, such as Stealth Grey, which is free, Pearl White Multicoat, Diamond Black and Marine Blue, all of which cost £1,300. Then you also get Quicksilver and Ultra Red, like we've seen in this car in this video, and those do cost an additional £2,600. Now for the front interior, we've got a very familiar design that we've been used to seeing from Tesla for the past handful of years. That means it's very simple. It's got a very good build quality in this new Model Y. The technology is incredibly impressive, which we'll look through in a minute. It's got a very well thought out interior, so there's lots of nice little touches, but it isn't complicated. It's a very simple to understand car that is very easy to drive, and it's got a lot of nice features. Now, I'm just going to say that this design isn't going to be to everyone's taste, and that is not a problem in any way. It just is a little bit too simple for some people, I do think, but it is, as I said, it's very easy to understand. Now, in terms of build quality, that is sometimes an area that is a bit of a sticking point for some people with Tesla. They may have gained a reputation based on cars from ages ago that aren't built the best, but in the company's latest generation of cars, the Model 3 and now this new Model Y, they do seem to be built to a very, very high standard. It's not really a problem at all in my view. This new Model Y, this exact car has done around 3,000 miles, and those are journalist miles, which don't tend to be the most easiest on cars. They do get put through the ringer sometimes. This car, as I said, it's done over 3,000 miles. There's no creaks, there's no rattles. It is a joy to drive. There's no problems in that regard, and nothing feels like it's broken. It feels really, really good quality. Also, the choice of materials is great. Up here, I've got some nice soft headliner. There's a nice soft material on the sun visors, good quality there too. All the plastics are of good quality as well. The door cards, again, it's all soft touch. There's no real hard plastics in here, which is really, really good. As soon as you get down this section, this bit isn't hard. It's like a nice rubbery material. All the seats are really good quality. They're ventilated and heated. And the steering wheel itself is a nice soft touch leathery material. So it's a really, really good quality cabin, and it's much of a cliche, but it is a nice place to be. Since recording this video, Tesla has since updated the specification for the Model Y in the UK. Now, by default, all versions of the car, apart from the entry-level standard, come with a black headliner by default. Now, the main thing in a Tesla, because it is the primary source of the interaction with the vehicle, is the infotainment screen. This one is 15.4 inches in size. You will get a slightly larger version on the new Model Y Performance, but as I said, this is the main way you control the car. It's the main way you control what gear the car is in, although you don't have to use it that often because the auto shift is quite good. You can control opening the bonnet, opening the boot, locking the car. I mean, literally everything is done through here. There are very, very few physical buttons. The only buttons you do have is the indicator stalk down here and a few buttons on the steering wheel itself. And that's your lot. I mean, there are a few buttons down here for the window controls, emergency release, and the opener for the door itself. But that's about it, really. Everything is pretty much done to the touchscreen. Now, usually I do criticise the fact that heating controls are on the touchscreen, but the way that Tesla has implemented this system is very good. You can touch this button to turn on the climate control, and then you click it again to adjust where the fan is going to go. You can turn it all off again. It's very easy. I mean, you can adjust the fan speed down here. You can turn it off auto, fan speed down to 0. You can schedule the heating. You've got the rear air control system as well. You've got heated seats, air-cooled seats, loads of different features. There's dog mode, camp mode, and yeah, the slickness and the polish that is being applied to this software is literally next level. It is very, very smooth. You've got Apple Podcasts built in, which is great. It's got syncing with your phone. I mean, There's a lack of Apple CarPlay, which is sometimes a criticism for the Tesla vehicles, but I don't really see it as a problem. I mean, the software here is amazing, really. All you do is connect your phone, log into Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, and you're pretty much set. If you don't use Apple stuff, you can use Spotify if you want to, or YouTube Music, or Amazon Music, and you can watch YouTube on here, do Zoom calls, and the settings on here is pretty customizable too. So I actually really do like the software. It's a really easy to use system and very, very well thought out. I mean, there are a few little oddities that some people might think is a bit of an issue. I mean, you have to click a button to open the glove box. So that's that. I think the reason for that is because they want to have a PIN code for the glove box, because there is a USB drive in there, so it keeps it secure. Also, folding the mirrors and adjusting the steering wheel height is all done through here. Now, if you do own the car, that's not really a massive problem. You get in the car, set up some profiles for you and your wife or whatever, and adjust the wheel to your liking, pair it with your phone, and as soon as you get in the car and drive, then it's set to all your preferences. So not really a massive issue, just a different kind of thinking, but it is a bit weird if you are coming from a more traditional car that has a lot of physical buttons inside. Now, I did touch on the indicator stalk, and I'll mention it a bit more in the driving section a bit later, but the addition of this indicator stalk is probably the single biggest improvement in this vehicle over the Model 3, for example. I mean, all you do is click that down, that turns on the indicator, down again, that turns it off, same again for the right hand side and that side as well. It hasn't got the same sort of locking in position as you do expect from other vehicles, but it is a massive improvement over the buttons on the wheel. Also the same for the wipers, just one touch to turn them on, it's all automatic. It does have a problem sometimes in some lighting conditions because it is using a camera to check if there is any raindrops on the windscreen. Also access all the cameras from here. You can swipe up and down to view different cameras there. Voice control, cruise control, autopilot, all very simple to use. Now for the center console, there's a few things going on here. We've got 2 wireless phone charging pads, and these are fantastic because they actually work and actually charge your phone. A lot of cars I drive now, they have wireless phone charging pads, but they don't always work. They don't certainly have 2 sometimes, they only have 1. But if your phone moves a millimetre, it will stop charging. If the moon isn't at a specific height in the sky, it will stop charging. And if it's raining, it will stop charging as well. I do joke, but they do seem to be very, very needy in terms of where the phone needs to be placed. However, in here, you can just whack your phone in the charger, 2 of them as well, and it will just charge with absolutely no problems whatsoever. Just really, really good. I don't understand why other car manufacturers can't replicate this and do as good of a job as Tesla has done. But anyway, they are covered in nice Alcantara. There's no cooling fans, don't really need them. My phone hasn't overheated in any way, so all pretty good. Now, one of the main improvements over the last gen Model Y is this section down here. We've got 2 lids here, which hide away cup holders, 2 of them, with 2 grippy things either side, and a massive amount of space in this central section. So it goes all the way down to the floor. There's loads of storage space in there, and there is in here a 12-volt socket if you do need it, nicely hidden away with a flush door. Don't always need it because there are some USB-C ports in here. So underneath this center section here, there's one USB-C port, which is 65 watt, which can charge a laptop no problem. And also a bit more storage underneath this section and a small LED light. The center console section is really good, and you can also get some third-party accessories, which will put some trays in here, make it a bit more practical, but out of the box, it is a very good storage space. Now, up in the ceiling, we have got the famous Tesla sunroof, which doesn't open, but it is nicely tinted and has a nice coating on it to block a lot of UV lights. It's not going to get too hot in here, but it would also, like today in the cold weather, keep a lot of the heat in the vehicle, which is good. Also, we've got 2 LED lights, which have 2 brightness levels. You just tap them to turn them on, and I tap them again to turn the brightness up, and the hazard warning switch, which is a physical haptic button too. When Tesla decided to get rid of the physical gear selector, the gear selection is on the touchscreen now, but there are also some backup physical controls up here. So we touch these sections up here, or after you press the brake pedal. It will complain that you are using these, but you can just use these buttons up here to put the car into drive, neutral, reverse, and park. All pretty good and easy to use, but yeah, it keeps whinging about using them because it isn't really that happy about you using them. Now the car is on now, so it is complaining about the seatbelt not being done up. But in terms of the interior, there are some other bits and pieces. We've got the ambient lighting section around the centre section here. This is one of the new features on the new Model Y, and you can customise this colour to whatever colour you want. It can also sync with the music and do a light show if you want it to. There's also a rave cave mode, which is new on this version of software on the Model Y. But overall, I do think it's a very comfortable cabin. Some people might not like it because it is a little bit minimalist, but I do kind of like it in here. Now, in terms of rear seat space, it's actually rather impressive back here. Being a bespoke EV, we've got a completely flat floor, which is really good, and that improves the practicality of the car as well. Unlike the Model 3, this car has a really good amount of space in terms of height for your legs. In the smaller Model 3, the height of the floor is a bit too high for how low down you do sit, and you do end up squatting slightly, which isn't the most comfortable. And this obviously being taller, a lot more headroom as well. It is a lot more of a comfortable car to be in the back for sure. General build quality back here is also really impressive. We've got the same material on the door cards as in the front. The door pockets all lined with carpet as well. Got the cloth on the door section down here, and the electronic button to open the rear doors. Electronic windows, and then in the bottom of the door bin, there is an emergency pull release to open the door if there is any need to do so. You haven't got the accessible latch like you do have in the front. In the middle seats, we've got a good amount of space. I've got a good amount of space underneath this section for my feet, so I can tuck my feet right underneath the centre console there. Really good amount of space. In this middle section, we have got a fold-out armrest with two decent-sized cup holders with some grippy things either side. Keeps cups and cans really secure. And then in terms of amenities, we've got this little screen here, which is 8 inches in size. If you want a full in-depth look at this screen, check out my infotainment review, which is linked in the description down below. I take a full dive on all the screens of this car actually, and the Tesla app for your phone, but also this rear screen. Just some very quick highlights. What you can do is turn on the climate control for the backseat passengers. You can adjust all the seats back here, so I can adjust these seats which do recline, which is quite nice. There are also some buttons on the bottom down here. You can fold all the seats down, you can turn on the heated seats, you can watch YouTube on here and play some games, so it's a very, very good system. There are also 2 USB-C ports for charging devices, up to 65 watts, just like the front. Obviously, visibility in here is pretty good. I did mention that the rear visibility for the driver is a little bit compromised, but in terms of a rear passenger point of view, the windows are massive. We've got a massive sunroof. The pillars of the whole bodywork are quite thin, so it does seem like a nice and airy car. And finally up here, either side, there is an LED light, and you can touch that to turn off the LED light. Got brightness level 1 and brightness level 2, and then there's a small little coat hook which comes out very slowly. So this is the most polarising section of this car, I do find, because it looks very, very imposing. A lot different to what the old Model Y used to be. So it's a very big slab of metal, essentially. And it's got a few nice design elements. So we've got this nice ducktail spoiler, which is built into the bodywork here. The Model Y is actually a hatchback, which means the practicality is a bit better than you would find in the Model 3. Got a load of just blank bodywork here. One interesting feature on this new version is this light bar. So there's a light bar underneath this section here, which is actually diffused, and it looks amazing at night time and really a cool design piece. Got the Tesla brand spelled out in letters. There's no Tesla logo, much like we've seen with the new Model 3 as well. Got a rear-facing camera for the whole camera system on this car, which is one of its main highlights. And then down here we've got just a black plastic diffuser and the number plate. Nothing on the back says this is the Model Y. The only thing we do have is the badge that says long range, and if you get the performance, you'll get the performance logo, and you'll get different model numbers on different versions of the car you do buy. Up here we've got the very large tinted rear window, and while this rear window is very large on the outside, as I'll touch on a bit later, the actual visibility out of this window is a little bit poor. I would have expected, as I said, due to the size of this window, to have a little bit better visibility. And once you've got the boot open, there is a very, very impressive amount of space back here. There's actually up to 822 litres with these seats folded up, which is, as I said, very impressive. There are some very cool, ingenious features back here, which we'll highlight now. So first of all is the folding sort of load cover here, which is effectively a parcel shelf. It doesn't fold in the most graceful way, but I think that's roughly how you do it. Underneath this section here, this false floor, there is a gigantic amount of space. I mean, if you think the car goes down to the floor and we are basically behind or in front of the motors here, it effectively goes right down to the floor there, which is a massive amount of space. Very, very, very impressive. And that props up quite easily, so you can get stuff in here if you want to. If you go behind this false floor now and look at this one, there's a bit more space under there for various bits and pieces, maybe a charging cable if you don't want to use the frunk. And then either side of this false floor are some massive storage bins, which might be useful for bottles of milk or something along those lines. Very, very good. Once you fold the rear seats down, which can be done electronically, that does extend to 2,138 litres. And the folding mechanism is actually quite impressive. So I'm just going to remove this load cover first. So with that out of the way, there are some buttons down here to fold down the rear seats. So click that button there. And as you can see, the passenger seat moves forward to move itself out of the way. I've not really seen that on a car before, and that's actually quite impressive. So it automatically knows if something's going to be in the way. Same for the driver's seat as well. Driver's seat moves out the way, this seat goes down too. Really, really good feature. And the driver's seat goes back in the position it was in. The seats don't fold down completely flat, but the actual width of the cabin is very, very good. The wheel arches don't extend too much, so you can get a lot of stuff in here. Now also, what's more impressive than actually folding down electronically is folding back up again. And again, the front seats do move around. Fantastic. So as we've already looked at, this new generation of the Model Y has had a big improvement in terms of design, not only in the interior, but also the exterior too. But one way the company has made some massive improvements is in the way this car drives. Just like we've seen with the current generation of the Model 3, the Model Y has received those big improvements too. So it's a bit more tight to drive, a little bit more engaging, it rides a bit better, it's not so wallowy in the corners. And overall, Tesla have done a really, really good job in terms of making this car handle a lot better than it used to. As I said, just like we've seen with the Model 3. In the corners, it's a lot more responsive, a lot better to handle. But sometimes the ride is just a tad busy. You can sometimes feel the rear end moving around, and when you go over a bump, you feel a little bit more than you possibly would like to, especially in a car for this price. But as I said, it is a lot better than it used to be. So for example, on this quite rough and bumpy B road, it does handle itself pretty well. It's dealing with all the bumps and lumps in the roads really, really well too. But it's just ever so slightly busy. Now, there we go. I do come down this road nearly every time I do test a car, and this is actually really, really good in terms of handling and the ride performance, but there's just something missing in terms of a little bit of refinement. But as I said, overall it is very, very good. This exact one is the long range version of the Model Y, and at the time of ordering you can choose from two different sizes, either 19 or 20 inches. This one is on the largest of the two alloy wheels, and that might be contributing to the slightly ever so slightly unrefined ride in certain circumstances, but the wheels themselves do look really, really good, so it kind of is worth the trade-off, I do think. So for the steering response, it's actually really, really good. There are three different settings. So if I come to dynamics here and choose the steering weight, you've got between light, standard or heavy. So if I choose light here, it's nice and light, it's great for manoeuvring around town. Got standard mode, it'll just in, a bit more responsive, than heavy, so it's a bit more sporty feeling, and you feel like you're actually steering against something solid, which is quite nice. And yeah, you've got really, really good responsive steering. It feels very engaging to drive, and I would imagine that the Model Y Performance is even more responsive as well. Let's come into some twisties here. The actual turn-in performance and the handling on the new Model Y is really, really impressive. For what is a very big SUV that's actually quite heavy, it really, really handles in a very impressive way. It feels very agile, very eager to get up and go. And as I said earlier, I can only imagine that the Model Y Performance with its adaptive suspension and all the various bits and pieces are going to feel even more alive than this one. Coming up here now, turn in, look at that. Corner's really flat, got a little bit of movement from the back end because it is rear-wheel drive, but generally it feels really, really good. There are two different modes for the acceleration, either chill or standard. If you do choose the performance version of the Model Y, you will no doubt have the option for a ludicrous mode. There we go. I don't know why he's pulled out on me there. So it's just like the Model 3 Performance, you have three different choices for the acceleration mode. And also you have two different options for deceleration or the regen system, either reduced or standard. So just click on reduced, so let go of the accelerator here. You've got a bit of regen here. Do standard, accelerate back up to 30, whatever I was doing. back on again. I must say that, just anecdotally, that the regen on this Model Y is probably the strongest regen I've seen on a Tesla to date. It does seem very, very good and very, very harsh to brake, which is what you want. And you can actually still feather it. So you can feather the accelerator pedal and get it to slow down a bit more slowly than you would like it to. So you can sort of adjust that as you wish. So visibility here is actually pretty good. The mirrors are a good size. The A-pillars aren't too thick by modern car standards. Load of glass in the car, so it's a really, really easy car to see out of. My only problem is the rear window, really. It's a very, very sort of shallow height to see out of. From memory, I do think the Model 3 was a bit better. Even though this is a hatchback, they could have possibly got a bit more height on the rear window there. But to compensate for that, there is a really, really good camera system on the Model Y. So you click on this camera button on the steering wheel, and you can see all the cameras around you. No problem if you scroll up or scroll down. You can see the front camera, you can see the rear camera there. So in terms of the general visibility, we've got a load of cameras on the car, but also there is a good amount of glass here too. The fact that we have a physical indicator stalk does so much for the ergonomics. I know it sounds kind of stupid because obviously all cars have indicator stalks, and it's only really Tesla that decided to get rid of them in the Cybertruck and the new Model 3. However, for the Model Y, when it was released early this year, the company has decided to reintroduce the indicator stalk again, which is a massive win. Again, it sounds really simple, but just the fact that we've got a physical stalk again for the indicators is a massive win. Now, we still don't have a physical gear selector on the right-hand side. In my personal opinion, that's not really an issue. The auto shift beta, even though it still is in beta, is really, really good now. The last time I tested it was back in June or May time on the Model 3 Performance, and it's smart, and the way it knows what to do in what situation is really, really clever. Yeah, the Model Y is not happy about this B road. I've got white lines either side. Jesus. I've got white lines either side, and it's not happy. If you've ever driven on, obviously, country roads in the UK, you'll know that you have to get quite tight over to the left-hand side. I'm quite surprised that this is really, really not having a good time about this road, because Tesla have been here for quite a while, and it's usually something I expect from Chinese manufacturers that sort of mess this kind of thing up. But anyway, yeah, I'll demonstrate the auto shift function a bit later in the video, but from what I've seen over the past few days, this is actually at a really, really good level. Right, so in terms of efficiency, this is where Tesla do seem to have an edge over nearly everyone else. Tesla don't seem to use the largest of battery packs when compared to other EVs available. Tesla also don't confirm how big their batteries are, so what I'm going to be sort of giving you is sort of an estimate that people have come up with over the years. Tesla, as far to my knowledge, have never actually confirmed how big their battery packs are. Apparently the one in this one is around 75 to 78 kilowatt hours, and now on paper that isn't massive anymore. I mean, I've been testing EVs now with over 80, 100 kilowatt hour battery packs, and they don't have as good a range as this do. So this comparison has been done to death, but I think one of the reasons that Tesla don't like to confirm their battery sizes is out of the comparison nature of it. They just want you to view the range and the efficiency level and get a good idea of what the car can do, rather than just comparing apples to apples. It's a very, very efficient car. So officially, Tesla is quoting 4.38 miles per kilowatt hour, and for a 5-seater massive EV like this one with a big boot as well, it is very impressive. Now, that's obviously what Tesla quotes. I will put the conversions on screen because Tesla don't actually give you the miles per kilowatt hour. They give you the watt hours per mile, and I've been seeing over the past 200 miles 268.3 watt hours per mile, and actually I've used 51.6 kilowatt hours in that time. So I suppose what you could do is fully charge the car, run it to empty, and see how much energy the car uses to get a rough idea of how big the battery is if you wanted to do that. It's probably not a bad idea for someone to do. But yeah, we'll put the conversion on screen, but just considering 250 watt hours per mile is 4 miles per kilowatt hour, I'm getting slightly under that. I have done a little bit of motorway stuff at the moment. It hasn't been very warm. It's, what is it now? It's 7 degrees. It was 0 overnight. Really, really cold at the moment. So that gives you a rough idea of what the car's doing. Since I last charged it, done 101 miles, used 26 kilowatt hours and I've done 262 watt hours per mile. But there have been a lot of reports of people getting incredibly good efficiency out of the brand new Tesla Model Y, and actually the old version at the same time. This also is sitting on the 20-inch alloys. The efficiency figure I quoted earlier was for those 20-inch alloys. That's the only thing that Tesla have given me. You can obviously get this with the 19-inch options as well, and that will give you a little bit more efficiency. Now also, this long-range rear-wheel drive is capable of 387 miles on a full charge. There's a little bit less than what you could officially see from the Model 3, with quite possibly the same battery size as well. The Model 3 is a bit more aerodynamic, a bit lower, a little bit lighter as well, so that's why the range is not quite as good as you would get in the Model 3 on this Model Y, but as I said, it is very, very good nonetheless. Slow down here with the regen. It's very accurate regen. I mean, other EVs I drive, like the ones from Kia and Hyundai, they have that adjustable paddle system, but this seems to work in a very easy to use fashion. I mean, I've always thought that not having it adjustable is a bit of a downside, but actually it seems to, even though you kind of choose the two different modes, it seems to be very, very intelligent about what sort of regen it's going to give you. It does work pretty well. It does seem very easy to maintain a speed of just under 40 miles an hour. There's no real issue in drifting over the speed limit, which you do find in some EVs. There isn't much feedback in the accelerator pedal to gauge how fast you're going, apart from looking at the speed. And the fact that there's a bit of resistance to the pedal, and you can actually gauge very easily, subconsciously, about how fast you are going based on how much pressure is on the accelerator pedal. This indicator also operates in a way that you probably don't expect, but actually it is very, very simple. You just tap it once to go left, tap it off to turn it off. Very simple, really. Sometimes you have to flick it back up, but you don't have to do that. It will disable itself by itself. It doesn't always work all of the time, but I say 9 times out of 10 that automatic cancellation system does work. I don't know if it has a built-in sensor like more traditional cars do, where you physically move it down. That's not a one-touch down. But whatever system that Tesla's using to detect if the indicator is needed to be turned off, I'd say, as I said, it works 9 times out of 10. So what we're going to do here is test the 3-point turn system on here. So if we brake, it knows that something's in front of us now. It's saying brake pedal is on, turn the wheel to the left, and that will put you into reverse. All very easy to use. And it says here, press the brake pedal, turn the wheel to the right to activate drive. And that is so simple. Very, very good. For the headlights, these are actually rather impressive, really bright, and the automatic dimming function works really, really well. The headlight controls are all automatic, but if you do need to use it manually, then you can use the button on the steering wheel. So overall, what do I think about the Tesla Model Y for 2025? Well, I do think it's a very good all-round family vehicle. Got bags of space inside, impressive technology, and the fact that the car knows where all the Tesla chargers are, how long you need to stop them for, how many are free, how much they cost, and all that, everything else that goes with it, is pretty much unchallenged. The only EV that I've seen that has that level of intelligence is the new Renault 5, and what Renault are doing with that Android Automotive software is very impressive, but obviously Tesla are the ones that did that kind of thing first, and the integration that they have with their own charger network is, as I said, very impressive. The front styling is a little bit odd and a little bit divisive, I think. I think in terms of a redesign that Tesla did, the old Model 3 to the new Model 3 was a massive win, because it looks incredible, especially in the performance trim. Whereas I think the Model Y performance just looks a little bit strange. The light bar at the front doesn't quite work, I don't think. The standard Model Y looks a lot better because it's got split headlights. And the rear itself is quite bulbous and big, but you obviously don't get that kind of practicality without having a large boot. However, I'd love to know what you think about the new Model Y in the comments down below. My name's Alex, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again next time.